Welcome to the 20th YSA Ward podcast, What's Your Story? I'm your co-host, Lexi.
And I'm your other co-host, Kennedy.
And we're here today with
Nicole.
Welcome,
Yay!
Nicole.
Thanks.
We're so glad to have you. This is a super chill podcast.
Sweet.
If you've listened to any of the other episodes, they're great. They're hilarious. It's a chance for the ward to get to know you without being bombarded every Sunday with people asking you random questions. We'll do the questions.
Yeah, we get to ask you the random questions.
All right.
And first and foremost is a question that I'm very excited to ask you because I've known you for a while.
Oh no.
And
She was very excited to ask this question.
I was very
Yikes.
excited. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Oh no.
Yep.
I don't really have a favorite actually.
That's an unacceptable
I
answer
just
on this
there's
podcast.
we need
too
something.
many good ones.
Okay, top three.
Well, you gotta go T-Rex because
Okay.
naturally.
Big head, little arms.
Yeah.
Sounds like
course.
someone else I know.
Oof. I also like.
I didn't say anything. I just looked in a certain direction.
Not towards me, in case you want.
No, yeah. The other way.
Stegosaurus are pretty cool. You gotta like pterodactyl just because of that silent P, and they can fly. Long neck brontosaurus. I don't know. Those are kind of your traditional dinosaurs, but
Do you have
There's still
a
favorites.
non-traditional dinosaur?
you know, I actually don't know my dinosaurs well enough to be able to
Oh.
like name one.
You just are like, dinosaurs? Yes.
Yes, pretty much.
Just the
Classics.
vibes.
Yeah,
Only vibes.
yeah. It's just I call it my occupational hazard because I teach little children, so it just comes with you. You have to like dinosaurs if you spend your day with 5-year-olds because
That's true.
they're obsessed with them.
That's very true.
Are you a teacher then?
Yes, I teach kindergarten.
Fun.
Oh, it's
Is that
blessed.
the age group that you want to teach, or is there one that you're like, oh, actually, I would prefer?
I actually prefer just a little bit younger than kindergarten. So like
Okay.
4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, somewhere in that ballpark is kind of like the golden spot for me. But in public schools, you don't have 4-year-olds. You get kindergartners. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the like best.
Would
can
you
get.
would you move to like a preschool if given the opportunity?
Probably. I think if there was a preschool locally that offered a good environment, and if it was just the right situation, I probably would choose that over public kindergarten. But it's where I am now, and it's still good.
Nice.
Kids are fun.
Oh,
They
they're
say
who?
the craziest things.
You have no idea.
What's the craziest question that you have ever been asked by one of your students?
Oh.
And then you have to answer it for the podcast because it's kind of our shtick.
We need answers.
Well, I don't know. Like, I get a lot of just completely random things. Like, so random I can't even really come up with one. One of the, what did she ask? There was one girl who raised her hand during a lesson. And this is significant because I was being observed by like the district people that day. They had popped in.
Stressful.
And there were like 2 district and then my instructional coach at the school. They were all observing me. And this little girl raised her hand and asked a question about, I can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with like spelling patterns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whichever letter we were talking about. She asked something about, why does that letter, or why do you need 2 of those letters in that word, or something to that effect. And I was like, wow, thanks for asking such a great question when I was being observed. I was like, I don't really know the answer, but I kind of made something up on the spot. And my coach said later, she's like, oh yeah, that's 100% true. Like, you totally got it. I was like, well, that's good, because I was grasping at straws on that one, but they do come up with like the craziest ideas. They talk about some of the funniest things, but they're just they keep me on my toes. That's for sure.
It's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Have you always wanted to go into teaching?
Pretty much from like when I was a kid. That was kind of the standard answer to like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Through like junior high and high school, I kind of considered different things, and then circled right back to it at the end of high school when I I actually did the like Wee Weber preschool at Weber High, and then declared that as my major, and I've been doing that ever since.
Fun.
Yeah.
And you went to Weber State, right?
Yes, I went to Weber State. Yeah.
Nice. Great.
Oh, so great.
Enthusiastic.
Great.
So, been in Ogden then.
North
Whole time?
Ogden?
North Ogden.
Excuse
Not
me,
North
how dare you?
Ogden.
Let me click.
Don't.
Don't diss
I
up
have-
in the north.
I have no other sentence that or words that follow that other than don't.
Let me retry. So you've been in North Ogden
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
for your entire life.
Yes.
Okay. If you could pick anywhere in the world to move to live, not just to visit, but to actually move to, where would be the destination of choice?
That's a hard question.
And we're gonna make it maybe trickier, maybe easier if we remove money out of the equation.
Right, okay. I'm not very well traveled, so I don't have something in my brain that I'm like, this would be really great to live there because I've experienced being there for a time. But I have always been fascinated with like New Zealand, as most people are.
Yeah.
Or like London has always had an appeal to me. But I also love I like kayaking and paddleboarding and stuff like that. So I think I'd want to be somewhere by a lake so that I could do that frequently. So
Okay.
I don't know like where would be the best place to get all the things I want, you know.
That happy, perfect place.
Yeah.
It's probably not London.
Probably not.
Yeah,
Not if we're wanting lakes.
yeah. There's the London River, which is
Probably
really
shouldn't kayak.
gross looking.
Yeah.
So I would advise against it.
Yeah.
I think New Zealand would probably be the better of the two options.
go-to.
Hit the spot there.
Is it more New Zealand because of the scenery, or is it New Zealand because of filming locations for certain movies?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like I get my exposure to the scenery through those movies, but I don't know. That place has just always had the appeal.
Or you forgot about the third option,
Oh, there's a third option.
the accents.
That is true.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh wait, let's see. New Zealand, London. Yeah, I'm seeing the connection now. Accents are top
Nicole
of the
has a
list.
type, and the type is someone
Accents.
with not a Utah accent.
Got it.
She really likes the
Well.
letter T. I do know that you're a pretty big Disney fan. Okay, apparently I'm wrong.
You were
I
like,
thought
oh,
you
she
were-
loves dinosaurs. She loves Disney. And Nicole's like, it's just a hobby.
Yeah, I'm like,
Passion.
apparently I don't know Nicole at all.
You're just mixing me with my sister.
But I feel like I've seen more than a fair amount of your posts being Disney related.
Well,
So
okay.
Ooh,
we go to
social
Disneyland
media
a
never
lot.
lies.
Okay, so that's really the trick there. We
Mhm.
just
and
frequent
are you
Disneyland.
forced to paint Disneyland from the comfort of your own home?
Yes.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Wow, what a
So
life she
childhood
leads.
obligation. Yes, we do like Disney at my house.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm like obsessed with it.
Right, I didn't think you were like obsessed, but
Okay, good.
yeah,
Just
that
to
wasn't.
stop
I wasn't
us
going
there.
there. No,
Not
no.
one of those adults.
I was. Yeah, you're not a Disney adult. Lowercase d, not a capital one.
Got it.
I was gonna ask what your favorite Disney movie is and why. But if you're not obsessed, like,
We don't want to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
Well, as a kid, we had our kind of obsessions. I loved The Little Mermaid. Like, she was my go-to princess. But I also, like, my mom would tell me, and I didn't remember this until my mom was the one who kind of was like, this is always the movie you wanted to watch. But I was obsessed with the Peter Pan Return to Neverland movie. So, like, which a lot of people don't know about it. So that kind of always, when my mom said that was the movie I always asked to watch, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I did watch
she's
that
not
one
like
a lot.
other girls.
No.
She watched Peter Pan Returns.
Yes,
Ooh.
yes.
I
Liked
vaguely
Jane.
remember that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, there was one summer I was nannying a family that I had taught in a preschool, and we were sitting there every day. We'd sit and watch shows together because that's all this 3-year-old girl wanted to do, and it wasn't worth the battle to like
Convince
turn
her
off
to do
the
something
TV.
else.
So I was like, whatever, we'll just watch those. And I got tired of watching the, weird. She watched the weirdest like Roku channels that were like Brian's World, or just these people that I swear they were just trying to learn English. They're like recording these weird skits just to practice their English. It was the weirdest thing. And I got so tired of my brain just melting watching it. And I was like, can we please watch something else? So I started like trying to convince her to watch old Disney movies. So like
The
we watched
classics?
Brother Bear, and she was like, what? She was like, she's like, I don't know about this. And then by the end, she kind of got into it. And same thing with Peter Pan Return to Neverland. We got like 10 minutes into it, and you know, the pirates come to kidnap Jane and take her away, and she was all curled up next to me like, this is so scary. I was like, I know it is a little scary right now, but don't just wait. And we finished the movie, and she goes, oh, that actually wasn't that bad. And I was like, thanks for your approval. Like, I'm glad
like,
you
little
enjoyed it.
checkbox there.
Yeah. No, whenever you get like a small child's approval on something, it's like
It's gold.
it's so incredibly validating.
It is.
I'm like, oh, you like the
Especially-
same thing that I like? Fantastic.
I told you, trust me. Especially from this girl though, she was a spitfire. Like, she's the craziest little thing you've ever met, and has the biggest personality. So getting her, like her stamp of approval, if she accepted it, it was like,
You're like,
it was a good score.
Living life.
Oh,
doing
yeah.
so good.
It was
I got
great.
approval. You walk a little bit taller
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was fun.
So, you enjoy dinosaurs, enjoy Disney, not crazy,
To a reasonable extent.
reasonable. When you have free time, where does your passions or your hobbies, where do you find yourself doing?
I love to read, so I do that a lot. I'm also very crafty. Kennedy mentioned I paint. I do dabble in that. That's kind of a very specific mood, though. Painting is.
I would agree with that. It's like
Yeah.
you either want to do it every day for hours, or like
Uh-huh.
you don't look at a paintbrush for 6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is like 100% it. Or like having a specific project in mind that's like easy to accomplish. I kind of got into paint by numbers over like our COVID, pandemic, stay at
So
home.
more like acrylic paints then, I'm
Mhm.
gathering.
Yes, I do more acrylic. I've kind of dabbled in watercolor, but they frustrate me. And I've never really tested out oils.
It's a little more expensive to kind of
Yeah.
get into.
You can't really dabble in a lot of different painting varieties, but I also crochet. People laugh and tell me I'm a grandma because
Hey,
I crochet.
grandma hobbies are the best.
They are great.
I'm on my way to
My-
becoming a premature grandma.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Because I do
My,
the crocheting as well.
Yes.
And I have the cats.
Oh
and-
yeah. For the longest time, I would just crochet. I started out. I crocheted a nativity for my mom, who's obsessed with
That's pretty
nativities.
impressive.
So, well, you'd look at it and you'd go, "Oh, that looks great," except it kind of doesn't. It was a little rough. The donkey, like, you just can't look too close at him because he's
He's seen some things.
he could have done a lot better. But I started just making more like my sister bought me a pattern book that created those, like, they call them animagri or something
Oh,
like that.
uh-huh.
Like
Amigurumi.
that thing, I
Yeah.
can never
The little
pronounce
like
it.
Japanese animals.
Well,
Basically like stuffed animal versions of anything.
yes,
Yeah.
anything you crochet an animal, a food, and then put eyeballs on it. Now it's this animagri or whatever. So she bought me a pattern book for that, and a lot of it was like food based. Or there was like the farm animals, and here's the market, and here's the bakery, and had like 6 or so patterns for each little category. So I started making myself like the market set and a bunch of food sets.
Fun.
For like, because I figured being in a young childhood
It's
teaching
very- very
profession,
fitting.
it's a good resource to have toys in your classroom, right? And then it wasn't until actually this past Christmas over the break, I told my cousin, who was the one who taught me how to crochet, I was like, hey, I said, we should make a blanket together, or like we should both make the same blanket, right? Make
Mhm.
ourselves 200 blankets. I said, because like I had never tried to crochet something like real, like a clothing or blanket or kind of that
little more in
typical thing.
the textiles,
Yeah.
away from the toys. kind
Right.
of.
I had never tried something, so I was like, we should do that and really what happened was I went shopping for yarn and I kept seeing the like big chunky blanket yarn.
The ones that's
And-
like super fluffy.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I really want to buy that yarn, but I'm not going to make a stuffed egg out of it or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like, so we should make a blanket. So
Oh,
we found a
stuffed
pattern
eggs.
and but the really fluffy, like, it's just, So we started making a blanket. We haven't made it very far, but then my coworker was having a baby and they were like, oh, we're doing a baby shower. And I was like, I'm learning how to make blankets. I should crochet her a baby blanket. So I had like 10 days, pounded out this like entire baby blanket in 10 days.
Hey.
It was a lot, but and it was far from perfect. I had to like restart it 3 times because I
Oh.
couldn't get that like beginning thing to line up, and the bottom kind of looks all curly because it was longer than the rest of it. But it's fine. I
It's for a
finished
baby.
it up. Yeah,
The baby's
they're
not
The
gonna
gonna
baby's
judge us.
no, the baby is definitely going to be like counting your stitches,
Yeah.
being like, missed one.
Genius
Dropped one
baby.
there.
Too far. Yeah. I just kind of was like, you know what? It's fine. It's whatever. I've known this lady for like 6 months, so it's not like there's a lot riding on this skills. And now I'm crocheting like a couple more blankets that keep just rotating between.
Nice. It seems like you found a
projects.
passion.
Yeah, something like that.
She's like, there's trauma in the
No.
eyes. She's like, the yarn, it just keeps coming.
Sometimes, no, we love the yarn. Sometimes it's just, it feels like an endless project.
Yeah. Plus, like the yarn section of craft stores is so dangerous.
Oh, it is.
Because you get in there and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this yarn. I don't need this yarn. But if I did this, then I
Then
could buy the
use
yarn.
it. Oh,
And
yeah.
you justify it, and then you walk out with like
Yeah.
50 skeins of yarn
Oh,
that
yeah.
are going to sit in a bag under your
Exactly.
bed for years.
Or in
Yeah.
your closet on the top shelf.
Not
Or-
speaking from personal experience.
No, not
in
at
the
all.
slightest.
Not at all. When I started my whole, crochet kit, it's like I'm making all these foods and animals, so I needed all the colors. I have like 2 shelves that are just like very beautifully color coordinated yarn schemes that I hardly ever touch now because
But,
it's like
but they're lovely.
that is so appealing, like visually, just
Mhm.
to look at it. It sits at the bottom of my bed, so it's just like, it's great. But that is true. Yarn is a very expensive endeavor,
Yeah.
They need to put a warning label
for sure.
for every hobby that's out there. Warning,
Will
addiction.
cost.
Will
Yes.
cost approximately this much each year.
Yeah.
Side effects include happiness and distraught.
Lack of family time.
Increased muscle spasms. Oh,
Yeah.
Early
that's good.
arthritis. It's fine. It's a great hobby.
We love it.
Grandma hobbies, man.
Grandma hobbies. It's where it's at.
Would you say that you're an introvert or an extrovert?
Ooh.
I'm assuming that at work you have to be an extrovert.
To a degree. I think like I definitely define more as an introvert. Like I don't approach people unless I have a good connection with them or unless I think they're going to like respond well to an interaction, right? Like even if sometimes if I see somebody that I know at the store, like if I saw somebody from the ward or somebody to high school or college with, if I saw them, I probably wouldn't approach them unless they engaged first, right? Like I might watch to see if they like look my way and maybe wave a little bit, but unless I know them really well and feel comfortable with them, I won't go and try and like engage in a conversation. I think that's a little different like in the classroom because you kind of have to be the center of attention when you're supposed to be teaching the children all the time. So
I mean, you can't just let them just do whatever.
you know,
and-
sometimes you can if you've trained them well enough. If you can
train them. She's got
Or-
a whistle and
This is my
snacks.
army of kindergartners.
She's
They
like-
are extremely well trained.
Oh yes. And sometimes like you just don't have the energy or the mental capacity to rein them in. So you just kind of have to let it go and let it be one of those days where we're just going to learn through experience.
So it's sounding like you're introverted, leaning on like, what is it, ambivert?
Ambivert, yeah.
Where you can do a little bit of middle ground.
Yeah, that would probably be a good description.
You're like, yes, I choose that one.
If I have to choose, sure, that one. I can't just change.
My hands are tied. This is what I've chosen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. If you had a superpower, what superpower would you pick?
Ooh. This is a hard one because, like, I think everybody's first response always goes to like flight, invisibility, mind reading. Like those are kind of the top ones. But I heard we actually had this discussion in a college class once, and the only reason I remember this is because one girl gave the most unique answer, and ever since I've always been like, that would be so cool. But she said that she would want her superpower to be the ability to fill things. So like, you're out of your drink, let's fill it right up. Or like, you're out of gas, let's fill it up. Your bank account's empty, let's fill it up. And so then, like, ever since then, anytime people talk about superpowers, I'm like, the possibilities of like
The filler up ability.
right, or even just like something that's that vibe, you know. There could be like tons of superpower abilities that nobody's, or that's not, you know, commonly talked about. That I think
Not the
could
traditional
be-
go-to
yeah.
ones.
You could pull the best pranks with that ability.
Oh, you so could.
Like, you're like, oh, my friend annoyed me. Fill their house with beans.
exactly.
Beans. Oh, wait, are these dry beans?
You're gonna
or,
fill
like,
up your cup. No, let me do it
canned
first.
beans?
Depends on how much they annoy me.
Ugh.
Maybe it's jelly beans. Maybe it's chili beans. I don't know.
Oh, imagine giving chili beans off of your like everything.
Off of your everything.
Everything.
Off your ceiling.
You
fan.
open the door and it's just a cascade.
Yeah. I think I would move.
Probably. Yeah, at that point, I don't think there'd be anything you could do to fix
You
it.
could not salvage that.
Yeah, I don't think I could be trusted with that superpower.
I know.
It would be
I
dangerous.
would cause havoc.
Yeah.
I've already, like, this is gonna sound so weird, and I will give context for it, but I'm gonna say it this way at first anyway. I have already filled things with things that are not supposed to be in them.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah, context, please.
Yeah. When I was in high school,
that explains
yes.
a lot.
I know this story. I do know this story.
I lost a bet with my cousin. And I don't remember what the bet was about, but I lost.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I can't believe I lost this bet. And the bet was whoever lost had to buy the other person a donut.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a cream-filled donut.
Right.
And I took the cream out and I put spicy mustard inside.
Right. I remember.
And then
this.
I gave it to him. And he was so excited because he loves cream-filled donuts that he took a huge bite and got a mouthful of spicy mustard.
Yum.
So
Not
Yeah.
petty at all.
We'll give you invisibility. We'll hand somebody else.
You're gonna give her invisibility?
I
That's not a good option.
don't think I could be trusted
Is
with that
flying
one.
better? What should we give her?
The ability
To run fast.
Oh.
I don't know. With her Slytherin background,
I think I could-
anything can be twisted.
I think I would cause chaos no matter what superpower I was given, and it's probably a good thing that I don't live in the Heroes or the Incredibles universe.
That is probably
That is
true.
So,
Which Hogwarts house are you? We clearly know which one Kennedy is.
Yes,
Vote yourself.
I'm like pretty sure it's been a while since I've
Mhm.
studied up on my my personal Hogwarts house, but Hufflepuff tended to be the most common
Everyone needs a good Hufflepuff in their life.
denominator there. And ironically enough, I've been playing the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Ooh,
in
that's a
some
good
of
one.
my spare time. And originally, he sorted me into Ravenclaw, and I said, "No, try again." Are we gonna be Hufflepuff?
No. We're gonna
So-
redo that. So you mentioned early on that you enjoy reading.
Yes,
I take it you've read the Harry Potter series.
a long time ago.
What is your go-to genre for books?
Oh, see, that's tricky because usually it's like rom-coms.
Okay.
And the romance novels. I got into those in high school, mostly because I was the first daughter of my mother's that had any interest in that kind of genre. So she was like, "Here, read all of my romance suspense novels, and here's some like pure romance, and here's
someone after my own heart.
Yeah, pretty much.
Enjoy.
Her entire she converted an old closet into just bookshelves, and they're full.
That's a
with
fabulous closet
all of
to
her
have.
LDS romance suspense, all those kind of novels. So that's kind of the genre go to.
Okay.
But I do appreciate fantasy and pretty much anything fiction. Sci-fi isn't really my favorite, but if it's the right author, I can get into it. I love Brandon Sanderson. All his
Phenomenal
I've read
author.
just about all of his books, I think.
Do you have a favorite series of his?
That's too hard.
I know that was kind of
too
mean.
hard.
That was a
you,
rude question.
you crossed a line. Lex. You got to
I started
apologize.
with the Stormlight series.
Okay.
I had a friend recommend it to me, so I got into it, and then drifted through the rest of his Cosmere books. I had a friend, one of my best friends from college. We became friends because we studied in the same place pretty much every day. We did our Zoom classes right next to each other. And then we realized we were both reading Brandon Sanderson's new Stormlight book, that fourth one that came out. We were both reading it. And so then we started talking about it. And then we just kept reading more of the Cosmere series, but together. He was like, if you want to read Mistborn, I'll read it with you. I was like, okay. So we just became book buddies and had our own mini little book club going on, and we would be calling each other in the middle of the night, So
You're I just experienced book trauma. I need you to resonate
Right.
with me right now.
Or we always argued over pronunciation of names because he listened to the audiobooks and I read the physical books, so we were always battling over how do you pronounce the character's name. That was always good fun. Over Christmas this year, I read the Skyward series.
Ooh.
And that was
Okay, no spoilers because I haven't finished it yet.
Okay,
I've read
no.
I've read up to the third book, but
Okay.
I haven't.
Did you read the novellas though?
No, I have not.
If you need it, you can borrow it.
Okay,
But
I'm a dealer.
I'll hit,
Got
you,
it.
I'll hit you up later.
That's the most sci-fi I think I would ever get.
That is
that series.
extremely sci-fi.
It is very sci-fi for him, and it was one of those things where I didn't put together that it was sci-fi until I was talking about the third book with my friend, and he was like, "Yeah, he was sci-fi, and then that third book kind of drifted back into fantasy, and everybody got mad about it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that would have been fantasy or sci-fi." Those first several books, I was like, "Okay, I guess sometimes I can like sci-fi." Because before, if you had said "Who do you read sci-fi?" I would have been like, "Nah, not my thing." But
You know they're a good author when you can read something that's typically outside your genre and not
and you love it.
immediately be like, oh, this is outside my genre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I think I read that first Skyward book in less than 2 days. I just flew through it, and it was over Christmas break.
It's a
so it was
hefty book
easy.
too. I think it's 400 and something pages.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So
So
I
you were just
just-
yep, keep it
I
coming.
flew
It's a good one.
through that first one, and then I was blowing through the second one, and then the third book I had ordered it, but it wasn't supposed to come for a week, and so I was I have to stop reading so fast and kind of pull it out so that I wasn't dying waiting for the next
You're
one.
well,
Peace.
and that was
Peace.
probably a good thing because the second one ends on a cliffhanger, and it's
Yeah.
a pretty big cliffhanger. Because
Yeah.
I just read, I reread the first two this year because I got the third one for Christmas. And so I was like, oh man, I'm really glad I have the third one now, but that I don't. I don't have to
scream
wait
into the
again.
void.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Do you
Choose
have
more than others.
A
but-
song that is your go-to right now that you recommend anyone listening to this podcast to hear?
That's a hard one.
I can see the wheels turning though. You're like, oh, I could mention this
She's-
one or this
she's
one
thinking
or this
about
one.
Well, I'm thinking more artists right now. I have two artists that one, it has been a couple of years now that he's not well known, and so when somebody asks about music, I'm like, okay, you gotta check out this guy. His name is Livingston. He's
I've
Okay.
heard a couple of his songs
Yep,
recently.
probably from me. Yes, he has a couple albums out, and then he started producing, or he no longer was working with a label, so he could just release songs whenever he wanted to. So he's releasing a new song like every 2 months or
I
something.
know.
Yeah, he's got a
been
bunch.
pretty popular
Yeah.
on my Instagram lately.
Yeah.
He keeps popping up, and I'm
It's
like,
probably
"Ooh,
my fault.
that's another banger." Like,
Oh, he's great, and he's coming out with an album coming out
that's
in
exciting.
like 2 weeks, I think. And half of the songs are ones that he's been, releasing as singles, but it's fine because we're still getting like 7 more songs of his. One of my more recent finds, I found him on Instagram. His name is John Michael Howell,
Mm-hmm.
and
I haven't heard of that
have
one.
you seen some of his?
Yeah, I've heard of some of his songs.
He will post videos of him making these songs, and what he does is he turns to like his dad or his friend or whoever's with him at the time, and he's like, okay, give me a Disney movie, or give me a book, and then now give me 3 words from that movie or from that book or whatever, and then he just comes up with the song like right there on the spot that
That's impressive.
includes those 3 words.
Yeah.
And I read, I was reading through the comments on one of his posts, and there was somebody who said, like, he's produced over 50 songs, and all of them are just amazing. And so he's kind of become, like, my Spotify. I'll just go and, like, turn on his channel and just let it cycle through. He's got a lot of really good ones. The one that, like, first caught my attention was called, Is It a Sin? And you have to kind of laugh.
Okay.
Because the inspiration was the Bible. That's the book his dad had chosen. And then the words were like, repent, sin, and I don't remember what the third one was. But the whole like basis of this song is, so he says, is it a sin to love someone who loves another man? And if it is, then I repent. And he goes on and on. And at first when you listen to it, you're like, oh my gosh, he like, is in love with a married woman or something, and it sounds all scandalous. But then the more he sings, you realize that what he's really saying is that the girl he loves a better version of him who he doesn't feel like represents him. Does that make sense?
Ooh,
so he doesn't feel like the man she loves because she sees like the best part of him, and he doesn't feel adequate. Like he doesn't feel like he measures up to what she sees him as. And so then you like finish the song and you're like, oh. You just feel a little.
You start off and you're like, "Oh, I can't believe he's doing
what
this."
is
And at the
going
end, you're like,
on?
"Oh, my little heart!"
It kind of like squeezes your heart and pulls at those heartstrings, and you're like, "Oh," get a little tear in your eye. But it was kind of fun. So that was the first one that really caught my attention, and then I started listening to more, and I was just like, "Dang, like, these are great."
Like, yes, 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 yes.
Okay, okay.
Double yes.
Yeah.
I think he's got one that's like kind of similar, like the Beauty and the Beast one.
That's also
That
a
it's
good
like, how can beauty love a beast or something?
one.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Freak like
I'm
me
gonna
or
have to check
something.
this guy
Yeah,
out.
something like that.
He's good. I'll send you some of his
Please do. Yeah.
instas when they pop up. But I mean, he's written one. The title is Rapunzel, and you can kind of like sense the Rapunzel like themes through the song. But if you listen to it, you wouldn't be like, oh, he's singing about Rapunzel, So it's kind of fun. He actually just posted one a couple days ago that was about Snow White. Was the like the prompt. But he flipped it and made it more like a breakup song about like, your icy heart gave me frostbite or something like that. And I was like, dang, like he takes it to a whole different direction and doesn't like use the inspiration to like totally guide it. He just uses those words to come up with something. And I don't know. He's really fun.
That's cool. And yeah, it definitely proves you focus on the lyrics.
I do.
You're like, the tune, as long as there's a tune, it's music.
there. Yeah.
But the lyrics,
it's where it's at for me. Sometimes I tell people, I'm like, if I can't sing to it, then I don't want to listen to it. Not that I like always sing to the music, but if I can't understand what the words are, and if I like could not sing along with it, then it's like, why am I listening to it? Then it's just noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
a little something in the background.
yeah.
Are you a member of the ward choir?
Well, no. Much to my sister's dismay, she is the chorister. She's tried to convince me to go, but one of the things about being a teacher is you lose your voice really easily.
Nicole, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast and
Thanks for having me.
hanging out with us for a little bit.
Always a pleasure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot how we.
I don't remember how we ended.
Bye. Listen to the next episode.
This person, see if you can figure out who it is, describes celery as crunchy, dirty water and
Interesting.
stringy.
Yeah, weird. They have also had a near-death experience with brownies. So maybe some food trauma with this person?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can kind of back the celery thing. Not a fan.
I'm not a fan either. Are you a fan? Or do you know who else is not a fan? Let us know if you know who it is.
And figure out who it is next time.